Welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast show where the categories are made up and the points don't matter. Today is July 23rd, 2020, and I'm your host, Brandon Vader from the TechPirate.net. I'm joined today by Psychonitrous, also known as Cody Stratman, and I think down there today, Seeker 4761, also known as Colton Roper.
What is up, y'all? That's so lame.
That's all right.
It's called an engaging. It's called an engaging opening. We're trying it. I think it's gonna be great, especially with the new podcast intro music. It's gonna be. I assume it's badass. Since it's in there, right? Psycho, Cody. No, all right. I don't know.
I'm gonna leave that open to my decision to maybe not put it in.
Well,
who knows?
It's on the internet now, so it has to be in there. Otherwise, you make me a liar, and that would be mean.
Or he just clips that part out.
Yeah, or it is
the editor.
And a lot of funny words. Yeah, a lot of funny words that could be over your face right now, either way.
Anyways.
All right. Well, today we have an interesting show for you. As always, random topics from, well, I'd say random people, but it's always the three of us.
And
we're always
sometimes.
Sometimes we have a guest. No guest this week, unfortunately. Maybe next week.
Turns out we only have 5 friends, so between all of us. Our group's only 5 people, so we're working on that. We'll get better at it.
It's hard to do that when you're social distancing.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week, Cody is going to teach us that time is running out to ride the Queen. That sounds wrong in all of the right ways.
I believe our British listeners might be either really okay with that or against that. All right.
And Colton's going to tell us that they're working on a new location to go to if 2020 never ends.
True.
I don't like this one. It's scary. Please, no.
It's kind of a theme of my topics. And Brandon is going to teach us that there's a new smarter ring to rule them all.
Wow.
That is such a nerd reference, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will understand that.
Probably.
You know, actually,
pandering.
On that subject, there's an interesting thought I had the other day. That for the Zennials, those movies, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Zennials.
What the
hell's
okay.
a Zennial?
Okay.
Right.
No, it's like millennial and Zennial, right? Okay, I
hell's
could be
a Zennial?
completely wrong.
Sure.
It's like the newest young generation. Anyway, to the youngest generation, that Lord of the Rings is basically their Star Wars. If you think about it. Like the movies.
Why not Harry Potter, though? Why not Harry Potter?
I guess it could go back and forth between those.
It depends on if you're religious or not, I suppose.
Or if you like wizards or
He's a witch!
Wizards or
Burn
short
him.
people. I don't know. Okay.
Oh, this is already falling off the rails. Let's get back on, boys.
Yeah, Cody. Okay, tell us how to ride the Queen and why time's running out and what Queen.
I
think that's the most important. Please. What Queen?
Are you looking for a
nationality? Whether I'd want to ride or not.
What the hell? Explain.
So, like a lot of things that I talk about, they're travel or aviation related, which means some of you already know. But maybe not you. So there's a plane that's called the Queen of the Skies, which is the 747.
Okay. All right.
I was thinking boat, but okay.
I was going somewhere else, like we all were. So.
That was the goal. Yes.
God damn it.
Interesting.
So it's like when most people think of a jumbo jet, whether they know it or not, this is the jet they think of because it's super iconic. It's the big jet with 4 engines, and it has a giant hump on the top of it. And depending on which one you've ridden, whether it's like the first 747 or the 747-8, depends on, well, how long that hump is and how long the entire plane is. But
isn't that hump like where the first class people? Isn't that where they go? Or
usually
it probably depends on the configuration.
Business. Yeah, usually it's business because the first class people sit in the nose. And what's really cool about if you're sitting in the nose, and I've only read this, I haven't actually sat in the nose, but I did sit in the hump, is that you're actually further forward than the pilot is because the pilot sits in the hump. I actually have a visual, and if I did this right in OBS, that it will work. Unfortunately, Drac and Seeker won't see my visual, but I'll show them later.
They don't need to know that.
Okay, never mind. Just go ooh in here in a second. Not yet. Now go
sorry.
ooh and ah.
Ooh,
okay. So as you can see right here is where pilot sits, and then up forward of it, which is blocked by this concrete pillar because I couldn't get a good shot of it, is actually where the first class people sit. And then when I rode on this one, I sat up there, which is cool. Stairs on an aircraft. It's one of the there's actually 3 different aircraft now that can have stairs on it. Time is running out because there are only 9 more airlines in the world that actually have 747s in their fleet that aren't cargo. There's tons of cargo aircraft that are 747s, but only 9 more that are. At the time of this filming, which will probably be several days before it goes up because I'm, sadly lazy sometimes, their BA had just gotten rid of theirs, which at one point had the most 747s. So this is an aircraft that's been around since the 1970s. Actually, 1969 is when they were first produced, and the first flight was 1970. So it's been 50 years. I didn't
realize it was that old, honestly.
Yeah, but there's different
particular...
Yeah, there's different renditions of it. So there's like a lot of aircraft, if you have like Boeing, for instance, they'll do the number. So it's like 747. That's the kind of aircraft it is. And then it's like 100, 200, 300, 400 is like how long the aircraft gets. So the one that I rode on was a 747-8, which is actually called that because it has some of the technology of the Dreamliner, which is the 787, because they skipped a bunch of numbers when they created that. It was like 747-400, then they kind of skipped a little bit.
Yet another instance of a corporation being weird about numbering. I'm sure internally it makes sense.
Just count correctly.
At least they're not Microsoft,
the Boeing 3.
Though.
This is the Boeing 3. Here's the Boeing 8. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know there's
corporations can't count unless you're Sony. And again,
the Boeing Series X.
Yes, at some point the Japanese will rule us all. We'll see. It'll happen. It'll be okay. It'll be a very neat universe. But
very organized and structured.
Yeah. But anyway, it's kind of sad because the other large aircraft, the A380, which is what Airbus creates, which is the main competitor to Boeing, is also going away at about the same rate. There's still some airlines like Emirates still has a ton of A380s. It's just because of the situation. Airlines, it's not really economical for them to fly it. And it's kind of a questionable whether it was economical at all for them to fly the airlines because they were counting on hub-to-hub transit being more popular, and you're having a lot of small carriers instead doing point-to-point, going from smaller destinations, for instance.
So
Go ahead.
I guess you're gonna. So, what exactly is a hub-to-hub or a hub-based system versus a point-to-point system?
So, I'm glad you asked.
Keep it below like 100 words.
I have to count.
Hub and spoke.
All right. So, hub system is stop. For the love of God, stop. So, hub system is when you have major hubs like Seattle or LA would be a major hub, and you're pretty much flying people between those major hubs, and you have the out airports feeding those major hubs. So, for instance, you've got like Boise that instead of Boise flying directly to St. George, for instance, there's two random small
airports,
smallish airports in the West United States. So rather than going direct from Boise to St. George, you would have to go from Boise to Seattle to probably Salt Lake City, and then take a smaller plane from Salt Lake City to St. George. Where what a lot of low-cost carriers have done is actually done, we're just going to fly from direct Boise to St. George. And a lot of people, if you have the choice, what are you going to do? Are you going to fly hub to hub, or are you going to fly, direct? So direct's kind of the advantage that way. The disadvantage to it is if you have airports that only have a certain amount, can only cater to a certain amount of aircraft, you have to have bigger aircraft to haul more people rather than just more aircraft, because the airport can't accommodate more. So these large planes, these super jumbos, were created for a system where airport utilization, just the amount of different of planes could land, was a significant issue. So that's why creating these were advantageous. Unfortunately, with fuel rising, except for this year, it's less economical to fly those. Also, originally, the 747 was a benefit because in order to fly across the Pacific or the Atlantic, you had to have 4 engines. They would not, it was just a safety issue. But as engines became more reliable, more efficient, just basically better, you can now fly twin engine across the Atlantic or Pacific. So that it's not a safety concern anymore. They still use them as a test bed for engines. Like you'll have a 747 that flies on like 3 engines, and then a 4th engine that's a different engine. You have them for lifting large things. For a while, the space shuttle program used them. So, I mean, they still kind of have their place. Cargo, because the nose of the 747 can open up on the cargo-specific variants. It's actually an easier way to load large objects into the plane rather than having the side open up and trying to, it's like taking a mattress and trying to wedge it through a doorway where you have a 90-degree angle. You're not going to be able to do that on one of the side opening aircraft, where you can, if it's just through the nose, you just go in. Kind of like the Galaxy. So, I mean,
C-130?
C-17, I believe. I could be off on that. I'll correct myself, maybe, if I remember to edit this part. Otherwise, you can correct me in the comments. That's
Please
fine.
do.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
Or
we study.
Sometimes we don't. Either way, it's good. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of sad that this is going away, just because it's... I've never heard anybody say, oh, that's an ugly aircraft. Like, it actually is a really beautiful aircraft.
And, honestly, in terms of, I guess, iconography, there's no plane more iconic.
Yes.
That is representative of commercial travel. In that case.
Even movies.
Not even close.
Movies will incorrectly use it. Movies will be like, I'm flying from, L.A. to San Diego, and they'll show a 747 landing. What? No airline in their right mind would do that.
Wait, a movie didn't tell us the truth about the way an industry works?
I know. So weird.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. We are.
So
what is it? Swallow the red pill or whatever? Shit, I don't know.
But so the
Something
9
like that.
airlines that use it. I'm gonna do this again, where I'm gonna switch things. There we go. Oh, that's the wrong tab though.
Let me interject because I actually read an article earlier today, and I kind of thought you might touch on this instead.
Mm-hmm.
Qantas just flew their last 747 flight, and on their last flight, their flight plan actually has the kangaroo from their logo. They actually flew that with the 747.
Like
That's
the
actually
flight
pretty awesome.
radar. Let me see if I can pull that up. You talk amongst
That's actually
yourself
pretty
for
awesome.
a second. I said talk amongst yourselves.
Another bit of trivia. I'm doing it.
Patience.
Another bit of trivia for
Pretend like we like each
any for any non American, or for those who don't know, the Air Force One, our president's plane, is a military version of the Boeing 747 airliner. It's a Boeing VC-25, but it's basically the same fuselage styling as the 747 airliner.
Okay, here.
And I doubt that's going anywhere anytime soon.
Unlikely.
All right, so yeah, that's actually pretty cool. The Qantas logo.
The Qantas?
Yeah. So actually, it was
A little bit of pageantry.
Was it KLM?
Well,
See, now
why not?
somebody's gonna have to correct me, but it was one of the airlines over the Mediterranean. Actually, they drew a 747 like on the flight path. It was
Really?
Yeah, it's their last flight because all these airlines are getting rid of them.
flight.
So like Delta got rid of theirs a few years ago. United's last flight was from somewhere to Honolulu. I'm not
Somewhere to
sure.
somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, very descriptive.
It took off and then landed somewhere else. Last flight.
Did, yeah.
It was beautiful.
So I mean, it's still sad. You can still get on them. Like when I flew on the 747, I flew from Honolulu to Seoul on Korean Air. That's actually pretty nice. They've got a really nice cabin on that one. So I would highly recommend that once, we're not all locked in our shelters. Yeah. But, I wanted to go over the last airlines that had it. See, that's not our intro music.
Yeah. I looked it up. El Al bids farewell to the 747 plane with sky art drawing over the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
It's better than a dick in the sky.
ELAL 747.
Yeah, it's an Israeli. It's the flag carrier of Israel, if I'm not mistaken, which is also an Alaska partner, by the way. Just recently. So BA.
Fall back to last episode.
See, we try and tie things together.
It's all cohesion.
BA just got rid of theirs, so they don't have it anymore. Lufthansa still has a few of their. Actually, I think Lufthansa is the largest 747 carrier. Air China has some. Not to be confused with China Airlines, which is actually the flag carrier of Taiwan, which is changing its name. Korean Air still has theirs, which I'm excited about. Of course, Korean Air is not doing very well at all. Of course, no airline is really doing well right now. So I'm a little bit afraid for Korean. Asiana still has theirs. China Airlines apparently still has theirs. Air India, which is one of those airlines that should be dead, but apparently doesn't die. Well, I think they're actually trying to sell Air India. So Air India, I don't know if you're going to be able to fly theirs. Thai still has theirs, but I've actually flown on a Thai 747-400, but it was a really stupid flight because they flew from Chiang Mai to Bangkok in a 747, which is about an hour-long flight. I have no idea why any airline in their right mind would do an hour-long
where did it land?
flight.
Where did it land? Well, the airline was probably moving that plane to Bangkok for either a replacement or another flight.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I would think they would do that. So at least they make something. It's better than flying two planes. They may as well just fly one instead.
Yeah, but why did it land in Chiang Mai? Because the thing is you expend the most amount of money in an aircraft when you take off. So you really don't want to avoid taking off really large planes. So
maybe it was chartered.
Don't take off.
Yeah, who knows?
It's only $70,000 an hour to rent a 747.
Iron Maiden actually did it. They had Ed Force One is what it was called. It actually had a really cool livery on the side.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Iron Maidens. I've never heard of this airline. Rossiya? Oh, that's cool. It's got like a tiger.
Just wait until TWIL has its own airplane on the 747.
Maybe they'll be cheap by then because everybody.
We're getting they're going to be selling them. I mean, it sounds like we may get them on a steal.
Actually, you've got the graveyard by you. Maybe we could just go to the graveyard. Go, hey, we would like a 747.
Our 200 by 200 pixel logo just blown up on the side of a 747. That would be great.
just have them wash it off. That way we can post it up and be like, look, isn't it glorious? It's ours.
I think we'll we'll do that on one side, and then we'll just steal the Iron Maiden's livery on the other side. But
one day, men can dream.
Indeed.
That's all I'm saying.
But anyway, fly one soon if you have the opportunity to. But, don't fly or go anywhere because don't spread the virus. So, whatever.
If you're going to go on a 747.
There you go.
Yeah,
to be fair, there's a lot of room, so maybe you could social distance.
True. There is a lot of room. Anyway, so Colton, why don't you tell us where we might go if this never ends? Which it feels like it's not.
Yep.
Is that answer hell?
You know what? Are we already there? Who knows? Here's a question for you guys. So, do you know what an exoplanet is?
Yes.
What's an exoplanet, Brandon?
Isn't it?
An exoplanet is a planet outside of our solar body, our solar system.
Very correct.
So it's in between solar systems? Or is it just outside ours?
It can be around another solar.
Okay.
If it's not inside of another solar system, it would be a rogue.
Okay.
Any body that is not currently, and that is considered a planet, which Pluto, whatever, hashtag always my planet. Any body that is considered a planet that is not a part of the Sol system. That's kind of how it's sort of defined. Pretty simple. There are rogue planets and everything. But what I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about is, just a little bit of history about, the search for exoplanets.
I just watched a documentary on this.
Oh, shit. So I better be accurate then.
Well, you can correct each other.
Please correct me.
Collaboration, teamwork there. So
one of the first, ideas that there are planets outside of our own solar system. One of the first documented instances of it are of an Italian philosopher in the 16th century named Giordano Bruno. So it's terrible. Totally butchered that. But basically, he stated that... Yeah, I'm getting there. Basically, he stated that the space we declare to be infinite, there are an infinity of worlds of the same kind as our own. So basically, he's theorizing that because of the relatively, from at least Western civilization standpoint, the relatively new Copernican theory of the cosmos, or heliocentric model, where everything rotates around a sun, or our sun, he's basically theorizing that all the other stars have the same concept. There are planets orbiting them based on certain laws. Isaac Newton said the same basic thing in his 18th century, Principia, whatever his big work is. If fixed stars are the centers of systems, they will be constructed subject to the design of the one, meaning the star. So there's always been theories that there are other planets. Never any proof until roughly around 1917. This is considered when the first scientific evidence of an exoplanet was actually found. It was around the star the Van Manen 2. Using spectroscopy, I think is what it is. I might be saying that wrong. Basically, the astronomers thought that this star was a certain type of F sequence star or whatever. It's based on its composition, but it was later found that the I guess weird residue that they found was actually a planet that was destroyed by the star's actual gravity. So that's kind of the first scientific evidence of a planet outside of our own solar system. Even though back then they didn't think it was that. They still didn't think that's what it was. Officially, the first exoplanet that was kind of published, I guess you could say, was actually in 1988. And maybe Brandon, is that what you got? Yeah, 1988. Yep. There was some controversy with it because the technology was still kind of new. The science behind it was still kind of groundbreaking. So there's a lot of debate at that point. The first officially accepted one was in 1992. So wow, not terribly long ago. So it's still a relatively new science. So now we'll come to today. So as of July 1st, there have been 4,281 confirmed exoplanets. So, and the vast majority of them, like I want to say 75% or even more, were actually discovered within the last 7 years. So basically it's been an explosion of discoveries. There's still 4,374 planetary candidates, as NASA calls them. So they're not confirmed exoplanets, but they'll probably be exoplanets, at least a good portion of them. The largest planet that was discovered is a planet that is 30 times the mass of Jupiter. So it's freaking huge to the point where there's actually some debate over whether this planet is actually a planet or more of a brown dwarf, like a failed star situation. It's a bunch of scientific people like being angry about it. It's quite fascinating. The
like
least
most science.
Yeah, exactly. The least massive planet found is called Dragour, kind of and it's actually a reference to, as far as I could tell, it seems like it's a reference to, I guess, well, Skyrim actually in some ways. The skeleton dudes, kind of interesting. About Draugr. 2 times. Yeah. Draugr, yeah, Draugr.
Maybe it is actually that, not the way I pronounce it in my head.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the way it seemed it was. About 2 times the size of the moon, so very tiny to very big. They're all over the place. 97% of confirmed exoplanets have been discovered by non-direct methods. So that means basically they're not directly observable because they're, long way away. Light years and light years away.
So you're basically going, hey, there's gravity there that seems like it should be a planet. No? Light bending because of gravity?
So basically there's actually 5 ways that scientists have used to actually discover these planets. I'm only going to really talk about 2 of them because the vast majority of the planets have been discovered this way. The most, before like 2010, right around that time, most of the planets were discovered using a concept of radial velocity. So basically they would look at a star and they would see a little bit of wobble. Its position would wobble a little bit. And this way, basically using a 2-body system in physics, anytime their 2 bodies are rotating around each other, both objects exude a force on each other, gravity. So basically when a planet goes around a star of some sort, it's pulling the star ever so slightly. It's not actually, the star itself is not actually stationary. It's actually rotating ever so slightly because of the gravity of this planet. And this is how they found a lot of the giant planets, because obviously a star is millions of times bigger than a planet. So it takes a big planet to have any noticeable effect on on a star. So that was a pretty common way to do it. And maybe you can elaborate a little bit, Brandon.
Yeah, the easiest way to think about it is you see a person walking. If you only look at that person, you can tell whether or not they are walking with a dog. Based on, even if it's a small dog, if that dog pulls that person at all, they're not going to be walking the same way they would without a dog.
I like
so
that.
That's the same basic concept, is that there's going to be that little bit of tug on that star.
Basically, the planets are the yappy little mutts that are pulling on the giant star. That's pretty much...
Yep.
That's science. That's proven fact.
I didn't want to live on a yappy planet.
I mean, compared to Jupiter, Martians. We are kind of on a yappy planet.
We're the Chihuahua.
Maybe a little bigger. We're the miniature poodle.
Proud to be on a miniature poodle.
So, hashtag Team Earth. So that's one of the main ways. But in the last 15 years or so, the main way people have they've been able to discover these planets is using basically transit monitoring. I apologize. And basically what that is super high sensitive telescopes, radio telescopes, all these basically take pictures of the cosmos at one time, and then days, weeks, months later, they take another picture, and they actually can measure the difference in light from each star. And basically what that is a planet that moves in front of a star relative to our position will block out a tiny bit of that star's light. It's imperceptible to the human eye, imperceptible to 99% of all technology. It's why it's a relatively new technology. And they finally created instruments that are sensitive enough to see this. But that's how that's actually said as is one of the main reasons for the explosion in the discovery of these planets. Thousands of planets.
Yeah, that's fascinating considering it's only the limited amount of planets that would be in the exact position to be between us and the star that we would see that way.
Yeah. It's why right angular orientation.
Oh, it's the amount of factors that have to happen perfectly for this to even work is fascinating. That's why the number is still relatively low with the technology we have, considering there's billions of stars just in our own galaxy alone. So those are the two main ways. There are other ways. So not really get into them because they're not really that important, and I also didn't study them very much. Basically, what scientists had able to find on some of these planets, they've been able to find evidence of plate tectonics, of volcanism, rings on different planets, exomoons. They've found like the moons of these exoplanets, and like it's actually incredible. They found atmospheres. They found evidence of atmospheres. They've also found evidence of planets that are locked in an insulation pattern. I apologize. Basically, they're tidally locked planets. So they're planets that they don't rotate. They are always facing the star in the same orientation. So kind of like how our moon is always facing the same way relative to us. So
thus the dark side of the moon.
Exactly. They've been able to see how the temperatures on one side of this damn exoplanet light years away are different on one side versus the other. It's the intricacies of this technology is absolutely incredible. So the way I kind of look at that is games like No Man's Sky, with all of its procedurally generated random planets, like they're finding evidence of these completely random and amazing planets. And that's just what they've found so far in the last 15 years. It's unbelievable what they've found. One negative of 2020, though, is because of the social distancing thing and and a lot of the colleges shutting down, is they haven't really found a whole lot of planets this year compared to at this point last year. So there you go. Corona attacks again. But still, it's really cool to see, just like, and they're still developing new technologies all the time. They're thinking and then within the next 10 years, there's probably going to be another technology that's developed that'll just be another explosion of new planets found. And estimates based on what they've seen so far shows there's potentially up to 1 trillion planets just within our own galaxy alone. And again, most of the planets that they've found, all these 4,000 planets, have been in our own galaxy. But they've actually found a few planets outside of our galaxy, in another galaxy entirely, which is unfathomably complicated, I'm sure. But it's kind of cool. So there's hope. Eventually, we've got to find the location to go to. And then when 2020 finally ends, we'll be able to get off the planet and go to these exoplanets. So, cool. Fascinating.
So, I just want to add, because the document, the video I watched was about the TESS satellite. Well, I guess satellite's in there, so that was stupid. The Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, which is funded, I believe, by MIT predominantly. Yes, MIT. So far, so it was launched in late 2018, and it has so far found, I think, 6 or 8 exoplanets, as well as 6 supernova, and it is kind of generating a ton of new leads that still have to be. So basically, it takes a snapshot, it gets some initial information, an initial baseline, and then as it orbits, it continues to take baseline levels, and they're able to more finely track transits. So they're expecting that they're going to be able to dial in, how many planets are around each star a little better, the sizes of the planets a little bit better, and they're going to be able to detect possibly smaller changes to the light.
Shit, and that's just what's going on now. Like I said, 20, 30 years down the road, we may have real pictures of these. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? It's awesome. It's so friggin' exciting.
Oh, yeah.
From a bit of an astronomy nerd.
Yeah, I guess that's the positive aspect of, it's a cool time to be alive, considering all of this has happened, 1988 to now.
It's still the age of discovery, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our perspective has changed a lot, though.
Yep.
So, fun.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to Brandon. Tell me about the smarter ring, my friend.
All right. So, we've had smartphones for the last 15 plus years, right? Smartwatches are gaining traction rapidly, and smart glasses have been trying to break into the smart wearables field for the last few years. Having said that, what do you guys think a smart ring would look like, and what would it do? What features would it have?
Is it maybe health-based?
No, it definitely not holographic.
Oh.
Yeah, so I would guess it would be like health-based. Takes temperature, takes blood pressure, takes shit like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it'd be like the Fitbit of
maybe
rings.
Location?
Well, of course it's got to be location data.
Well, so the last time I was really looking at a smart ring, the last time I was looking at a smart ring, it was a embedded RF
wasn't
band,
gesture,
and it was basically a security token.
Okay.
That's what it was. And I mean, granted, this was 3 or 4 years back, but that's not the case. Seeker, you hit it right spot on. It's really now a health tracker. And so Aura Health has released the Aura Ring, a health-centric monitor. It supports sleep tracking, reports on your readiness, and tracks activities. The ring contains infrared LCDs, NTC temperature sensors, an accelerometer, and a gyroscope. These sensors capture heart rate, HRV, which is heart rate variability, which if you're a fitness nerd, that's kind of the new thing to track. Basically gives you a snapshot of your heart health, stress, emotional health, and fitness, overall fitness. And it also tracks temperature and steps. The battery's touted to have yeah. The battery's touted to have a 7-day life before needing to recharge for 1 hour wirelessly. And yeah, if you're a fitness nut, this sounds great, but as you guys know, I'm not a fitness nut. That's not my thing. Like, I didn't get a smartwatch until I needed one for notification reasons. And even though my Galaxy smartwatch has all sorts of, heart rate monitoring and stress monitoring and sleep monitoring, I don't really use that. What really intrigues me about this smart ring, though, is what the NBA is doing with it. Yeah. So the NBA is offering players these devices. Yeah, the National Basketball Association.
Okay, I thought you were saying
they're offering these devices. No. Basketball, sports,
okay.
Which again,
Sports
I also
ball.
have no interest, but because of the perfect storm, this article piqued my interest. So the NBA is offering these devices to players, and these devices are going to then be managed by their team. So this is in response to the COVID pandemic. The hope is that these rings will help track a player's body temperature and help detect early signs of COVID-19. If a player is showing changes from their baseline, like a spike in temperature, sleeping more or differently than normal, the NBA and NBPA will know that they need to check in on that player. They're hoping that with this ring and some other changes, they're going to be able to return to playing games and practicing.
Huh.
And they'll be able to determine who's the best dribbler.
See, that's kind of where
this guy's going up and down a lot. Is he okay? I mean, come on.
I mean, I don't know how I'd feel. I mean, let's be honest. My watch is probably sharing its data with Google and Samsung and stuff like that, but it's not
reporting HIPAA, medical stuff to your employer. However, I would say that your direct relation in caring about this is probably tied to the millions of dollars you would be getting too. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is if somebody was like, hey, wear this ring and we're going to monitor that, your heart's doing good and your stress levels and this and that, and we're going to pay you $30 million to wear this and dribble a ball down the court, I'd be like, well, I can't dribble very well, but I'll wear the ring.
I'll wear the ring all fucking
you want to pay me millions of dollars for my personal data? Fantastic.
I'll even try to dribble.
Sign me up. Look, I got it.
It's kind of actually interesting. Even if you're not a sports guy, it's still interesting what these big leagues are doing to try, at least from American side, to try to have some resemblance of a season. If you're talking about the NBA, that's one of the things they're doing. I know they're also all the players are essentially on a permanent quarantine for the entire season. So they're all the games are held in Disneyland, or was it Disney World? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. But they have 6 courts or whatever, and all these professional teams they stay in the hotel, they work out, they practice, they play the game. That's all they're doing for the rest of the season, because technically with the NBA, they're restarting the season. There's only 15 games or something stupid like that in the playoffs.
Right.
So they can kind of get away with keeping these people quarantined just permanently with no outside world contact, ideally. And I know they're doing obviously they're doing the health stuff, constant temperature readings, constant physicals, security to the point where they're making sure players don't go outside of this quarantine zone to obviously just potentially destroy however many millions of dollars the NBA is actually using to try to get the season to happen.
And you figure with all the players, each one of these is $300, $299.99.
Jesus.
But
it's a $300
I'm sure
ring.
they. I'm sure
but
they
that's
got
less than your smartwatch.
Huh?
Is that less than most smartwatches?
Yeah, I mean it's
average. It's right around the.
I think that's right around the same thing. But the thing is a lot of and this is why they're going with the ring rather than a smartwatch. The ring has the temperature sensors. Most of the smartwatches don't have temperature sensors, or they're so
also
inconsistent that it's not.
I would imagine that the ring has a more secure, tight grip on your finger than the watch band does on your arm, especially if you're moving.
Yeah, if you're playing a game, you don't want to be caught on another player and freaking break your wrist or something.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the temperature sensor thing is how accurate is it considering it's on the finger? Like, you're the medical guy.
Yeah.
How accurate is a temperature taken from a finger?
Yeah, they test that.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine as long as they calibrate it so that they know, it's just like the forehead readers. When they test your forehead, you're actually only getting like a 96.7 or something like that. I've actually got a infrared temp gun that I bought from the hardware store that's supposed to measure like, hey, how hot is the side of my engine? Can I work on it yet? But I've seen that it's accurate enough consistently that we can use it, and then we just add 2.4 degrees. Because that's the difference between taking a temperature under tongue or in ear versus what I'm getting with that.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're getting blood flow there, you're generating heat there. Now, the only thing would be if you dunk your hand in some ice, it's going to measure that. If you are reaching in to grab your pizza out of the oven, it's going to be registering that heat spike.
Well, it's probably based on a sleeping temperature, or because it's probably doesn't it do heartbeats or heart rate, shit like that? Or am I thinking about? I think you said that. So they could probably
it does heart rate.
They probably have algorithms that based on his heart rate is high. Obviously, his body temperature is going to go up a little bit because he's practicing right now. So.
Yep.
But hey, wait, his heart rate's really low, but his temperature's severely high. We better call him in and get a real official temperature and figure out if he's okay.
Well, and that is one of the things that they mentioned in the article I had read earlier today, is that they would be primarily basing their temperature off of a sleeping temperature, because that's going to give them the best overall baseline.
Oh, that makes sense. Huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, that's just one of the things that these giant leagues are doing. Something else that I think is just interesting from more of a social aspect, not necessarily a sports aspect, because I enjoy sports, but like the MLB, and I think even maybe not the NBA, but I know the MLB recently started their season, and they're actually they're playing in the stadiums, but they're actually pumping crowd noise into the stadium.
Yeah.
Which is really freaking, and Japan did the same thing for their soccer, and I want to say Europe did too. So it's interesting from a social aspect how humans, being the social animals we are, that hey, they're cheering, we should be cheering too. It's like the same concept as the laugh track. They're laughing. It's funnier because they're laughing. Something else I've seen technology wise is some of these super fans are able to pay, and not all these teams are doing this, but I think like the Los Angeles Dodgers are coming up with a program so you could pay them some huge amount of money, I don't know what it is, to put up a likeness of yourself, like a cardboard likeness of yourself, and you'll sit in your season ticket seat. Like, it's so freaking weird from a, again, social aspect. It's fascinating. We're trying to keep a sense of a weird, perverted sense of normalcy during all of this.
See, I'm waiting for this to go VR on two different.
That would
there
make
has
sense.
already been.
Makes sense.
Okay.
There has already been a few events that they have put up a 360 camera, and you can pay for one of these 360 camera tickets, and then watch it in VR like you're actually there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, again, people want a sense of normalcy. It kind of makes sense, but it's still crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand the want to have a VR seat when honestly, like I've been to a few baseball games, and I'll admit I'm not big on sports, but I've been to a few of them, and it's enjoyable to be there and, like, have the crowd around you, and that's fine, and watching the game. But honestly, most of the time you're ending up looking at the big screen, because they've got all the better shots of like people like jumping up and catching the ball and shit, versus like, oh, let me squint. Is that? Oh, I think you got it. Everybody's cheering. I guess I'll cheer too. Yeah. Oh, wait, am I cheering for the wrong team? I'm sorry. I've only done that once.
Yeah, go. Oh shit. Whoops.
Yeah, I'm of the, unless it's hockey, and sometimes even if it is hockey, sports I find better sports are better if you're consuming alcohol and making it into a drinking game. Then they're enjoyable for me. Otherwise, I don't care.
That's what's cool about going to a game of some sort is
you can find other more
things
for the alcohol.
It's expensive.
Sometimes
it's so expensive.
The experience is still something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm weird. I'm pro sports.
I don't need to pay $12 for a pretzel and $15 for a shot of Jack in a Coke.
Yes, but you're doing it in public. You can't do that normally. And you're outside. You're getting sunburnt. You're really experiencing America as it should be.
I would argue that would be camping.
Well, that's
bonfire.
Yeah.
Alcohol, bratwurst. I mean,
that sounds way more fun than me. Yeah, you get a couple 4-wheelers. Man, maybe
I like 4-wheeler in the morning and then drink all afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Motorsports. You see, your guys are into sports too.
Bring some paintball stuff.
Only if I'm driving.
There's
Although I will say, I did watch World Rally.
The World Rally?
Yeah. The World Rallycross.
Oh, yeah. See,
there's a guy that I work with, and his son just did some sort of rally racing for the first time and came in second.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wish I was there.
That's actually pretty awesome. I would crash.
Yeah, there's actually
not even an argument. I would crash. I'd flip it so many times.
See, that's why I think a demolition derby would be kind of fun. You know, just get some sort of old beater. Not a nice car, but it's something.
Even the beaters, I feel bad for sometimes.
It's like, just
that's
physically.
A Nova. I have one of those. Oh, and now it's just totaled. I would have taken that fender.
I would argue
come out with a plasma torch real quick.
You would have so many bruises. Your neck would hurt. That does not sound fun to me. I also don't understand watching it. I'm weird. I don't know.
It's the same reason why people watch NASCAR and root for the crashes. People just want to watch the world burn.
See, I want skydiving. I want to do
Joker was right.
too.
Competitive skydiving?
Nope. Terra firma.
What's that? Let's see who's the last person to pull their parachute.
Yeah, it's just a big game of chicken.
Oh,
Not yet. Splat.
You win.
I found a canyon.
You won, but at what cost? A trip to the ER and probably never walking again.
But I won that game.
I can fly again. Once. You can do anything once.
You know what? It's not wrong.
That's true.
Buddy. I would say that's a good thing to go out on, honestly.
Just remember, yes.
You can do anything once.
Yep.
Play Russian roulette once. To swim to the bottom of the ocean once.
So
Be
there's
crash test
a
dummy
Russian
once.
roulette. There's a Russian roulette playlist on Spotify, and it's Toto Africa, 5 times, and it's Africa Weezer once. The
God.
3 times that I was like, all right, click it, random, start, Weezer. 3 times.
So never play
like,
Russian roulette.
Like,
Yeah.
At least you know.
Humanity, that is peak humanity.
Yep.
That's existence for you right there.
Well, I think we've gone off the rails enough. Unless anyone has any more interesting topics.
I'm good for now. I want to fly.
I think I've learned a lot this week.
That's me. Yeah, no, actually,
This was a really good conversation week.
You guys had some very insightful topics. I appreciate that between
Factoids.
The Nuva ring and the
Nuva ring.
Not the Nuva ring.
Aura ring.
That's a totally different type of ring, Cody. Oh my gosh. I love it.
And the planets.
We're woke.
Oh, God.
And with that cringe.
Brandon, where can we
I'm
find
Brandon
you?
Vader.
Plug yourself.
I'm Brandon Vader. You can find me on the techpirate.net, on YouTube as the Tech Pirate, and occasionally on Twitch as Drac_Vader.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll go. I'm Cody Stratman. You can find me on Twitch, not often, but maybe more. Who knows? I say that every week, so we'll see.
Once in a blue moon.
It'll be a surprise, even to myself. And then on YouTube at Striving to Fail. And I think I might actually create, not Pinterest. What's the one that's actually useful?
Twitter.
Well,
Twitter.
Yeah, I might create a Twitter account too. Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah, I might.
Hey, Instagram.
I don't know.
Actually,
I hate that it's run by Facebook, and I hate that I can't post to it from my computer, so you have to post to it from your phone or run an emulator. Just, it's like the way that's set up is like Microsoft counting. Yeah, let's go back to that soapbox. Anyway, yeah, I might do that. Who knows? All right, save me, Colton. Save me.
And I am Colton Roper, also known as Seeker 4761.
That's how many miles that he's walked today.
God,
Pretty
I
impressive.
wish. With the way
Why didn't you stop by?
Oh, dude, I did. You weren't answering. I had to keep going. I went up to Alaska. He didn't answer either.
Sorry.
Like,
Does it work?
God, you guys are not available when I needed you. I really was like, please stop me from walking this much. I'll show you the health data. I'll prove it one day.
You got your
Aura got
ring.
my little
not Nuva.
not the Nuva ring.
That'll be the next smart wearable.
Someone's working on something like that. There is. God damn it.
So much good data. A large quantity of data we have here.
Just a lot of in and out. Anyways,
Pornhub After Hours, which is where we'll test that out.
It's where we're gonna be next.
Yeah, look forward to the TWIL Pornhub account.
One day we will set that up. That's what we're gonna get rid of YouTube and just post it directly to Pornhub. Get where the people are. But where other people are is actually on Twitch, and I am Seeker4761 on Twitch. I'm also on YouTube under the same name. I'm also a contributor to the techpirate.net, Brandon's lovely website, and one of these days I will actually post something there. I have before, but I'm working on something. It's a secret, but it's coming.
Okay.
Maybe to himself too.
Exactly. Good ending. Shit, play us off now.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.